Sometimes the most complicated things comes down to the most simple factors. Today we're going to talk about how to make a budget, as a bunch of people just go, ain't nobody want to hear anything about making a budget. But then again, if you landed on this YouTube video, first of all, there's like 75% of y'all that watch my videos that ain't subscribed. Like, come on now, what's that about? Hit that subscribe button, let's go. But you landed here because you're trying to figure out your financial situation. And you're wondering, how exactly do I handle this? And you saw this beautiful mug and you said, let me get in on this video. And then you heard the word budget and you're like, that thing that just doesn't allow me to do whatever the freak I want to do with my money. That's not the right way to think about a budget, right? You see, a budget is not like a jail cell where you're like stuck and you cannot do anything with your money. A budget is kind of like the rules for the interstate, right? So, we have speed limits on the interstate. You can only go like 80 miles an hour on some. Maybe on some, you can only go 75 miles an hour. So on some, you can only go 65 miles an hour. Why are those rules put in place? It's so that it protects the general public. It protects everybody, because we always see it on the news. That thing of a car going 140 miles an hour and then he started doing the tumbles and now somebody's dead. That's the same thing with a budget. It's not that you can't do whatever the freak you want to do with your money. It's just that it gives you the guardrails to protect you, to tell your money like, yo, you can't just be out here partying every day. You can't just be out there doing whatever the freak you want to be doing. No. It's you telling your money like, if you gonna be in my pocket, these are the rules of living in my house. And that's basically what a budget is. But anyway, let's talk about how we do that. What's going on, people? It's your boy Kalechi, back with another video. If this is your first time around these parts, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy anything that we talk about on this video, hit that like button. Turn that thing, say it with me now. But anyway, in this video, like I said earlier, we're going to be talking about how to make a budget. But even before we get into how to make a budget, first we got to do something else, and that is we got to track our expenses. Because like my dad always says, if you don't know where you are, you already lost. So let's talk about that first. Tracking your expenses is kind of like, let's say you're going to see a friend and your friend just got a new house and you don't know where it is. So you pull out Google Maps on your phone and you're like, I want to go to this address. The first thing after you put in the address on your phone, Google Maps is going to say, do you want to do it from your current location? Do you want directions from your current location? Or do you want directions from somewhere else? Because it's important for Google Maps and for you to know where you are currently in order for you to start taking the steps to get to where you want to be. And that's the exact same thing with tracking your expenses. This is how you figure out like, okay, where am I right now? What position am I in? Where is my money going right now? What am I spending my money on? And there are two main ways that you can do this. The first way you can do this is just for the next month or so, every single time you spend any dollar, in other words, when you swipe your card or use Apple Pay or use Google Pay or use any of these payment services, you write it down. You can do it, if you're old school like me, you can do it in something like a checkbook, because I'm old and I still write down everything in that checkbook. But that's one way that you can do it. The other way that you can do it is you can go back and gather all your old credit card statements from the past month, your old bank statements, all those things. You can gather all of them, and then you can go through the list and go line by line, determining, okay, what was this expense for? What was that expense for? What did I pay for this thing for? What was this? And all of that stuff. But either way, on both sides, what you're going to have to do is categorize all your spending so you know, where exactly am I spending all my money? Where exactly is my money going? What buckets is my money falling into? Is it going in the way that I would like it to go? And the most important thing, when you go through these exercises, you're gonna be surprised at the amount of money that you're spending on certain items that you don't even think about, because we swipe that card and we tap that payment so easily in this day and age because it's so easy and we don't even think about it. But there are also softwares that you can use to get this done a little bit faster. You can use sites like mint.com, Personal Capita, or Clio. Now, the main thing with all of these things, even though they're free, they're gonna sell you that data and they're gonna sell your data. So just keep that in mind. But the point is, they can also make it simpler and faster for you to be able to go through this exercise. The only thing you have to think about and the only thing you have to keep in mind is you're still going to have to go through, because it's not gonna be perfect in knowing exactly all the things that you spend your money on. So you're still gonna have to go through and categorize things the way that you want it to be categorized. But once you've done that, once you've taken the time, it's gonna take some time, but once you've done that and you've taken the time to complete this exercise, now we can get started on making that budget. Now for the budget, I like to break it down into three main categories. The first category is what I like to call can't do without. These are all the things that in order for me to survive in this life, I have to pay that price. So these are things like your main expenses. These are things like your rent. These are things your utility, your transportation, your food. And when I say food, I am not talking about eating out. I'm not talking about DoorDash. I'm not talking about Uber Eats. What I'm talking about is your groceries. You know, the staples. It used to be called egg, bread, and milk, but in this day and age, who drinks milk? And most people are now vegan, so who eats eggs? So I guess we'll supplement it with something else, maybe quinoa. But the point is, these are the things that you go to the grocery store to buy, the absolute basic necessities, not your Starbucks or anything like that. This is the absolute necessity things. These are things like your internet bills and those kind of things, your phone bill, insurance, all of those things that you absolutely need to survive in this life, that you absolutely have to pay for, or the man's gonna come for you. So that's category number one. Category number two, this is what I like to call the freedom bucket. In other words, these are the things that allow you to chase after your financial freedom. These are the things that will allow you eventually to be financially independent. These are the things that will allow you to get to the point where you're self-reliant. So that's things like paying off your debt. That's things like saving for retirement. That's things like saving for an emergency fund. That's things like saving for any of the life expectancy things that may show up at any point in time. So that's your second bucket. And then finally, your third bucket, this is what I like to say, your get freaky with it money. This is your fun money. This is, I do whatever I want to do with my money because I got it like that. This is your balling on a budget money. I'm just kidding. This is your baller status money. This is all the cash that you can do whatever the freak you want to do with your money with. This is the stuff where you start paying for things like Netflix, paying for things like Spotify, paying for things like new shoes, paying for things like new clothes, all the other things that we do that is not necessarily necessary, but we do it. So, you know, if I want to go get Starbucks, this is where that's going to come out of. If I want to go to Chick-fil-A, this is where that's going to come out of. If I want to spend money on a brand new laptop, because your boy is struggling out in the streets, this is where that money is going to come from. Once you have these three categories in your head of how your money is going to come out, then everything becomes simpler. So now here's my advice of how I will break down my budget. First, I will start off with how much income, my monthly income at the very top. That's gonna be your top line item. You're gonna start with that and be careful of this number. For a lot of us, we're gonna just break down, oh, I make $75,000 a year, divide that by 12 and be like, okay, that's the amount. No. It's very important that you use the net income number, not your gross income number. Use the net income number, because that gross number, you gotta think about the fact that taxes gotta come out of that thing. You gotta think about the fact that your benefits gonna be coming out of that thing. So after all of those items have been removed from your paycheck, whatever remainder amount is, that's the amount you wanna start with. I've seen a lot of people make that mistake where they end up at the end of the month and they're like, yo, but I thought I had more money. I wrote this amount, but it's like, oh, you forgot that Uncle Sam always gonna stick his hands in your pocket and get his own percentage, because when you get paid, Uncle Sam is celebrating because guess what? He got paid too. That's why Uncle Sam wants everybody to have a job, so that he can keep eating too, because, you know, that's how the economy works. In case most people don't know that, that's how it works. But anyway, that's beside the point. So you start off with that line item, and then the first thing I'll put down is all my main expenses. So that's things like my rent, my power bill, my water bill, my phone bill, my internet, insurance, food, all that stuff, gas, all of that stuff as my necessity items will be the first things to go in the budget, because these are the things that I cannot live without. If I don't have this thing, I can't even do anything else. So you first deal with those situations. You write those ones out first. Those are the things that you take care of first. And the thing is, you want this number, the percentage of your income, it should be about, I say it should be somewhere between 50 to 60%. If you can, as much as you can, try to keep that number below 60% as much as you can. If you can't, well, you work with what you got and you try to find more ways to have more income so you can do other things. But that's the first bucket. And then in the second bucket, which is your freedom bucket, put down stuff like your emergency fund savings, paying off your debt. Guys, pay off your debt. Pay it off, especially them credit cards. But anyway, you put your line item for your credit card bills or whatever else debt that you have going on. And then after that, you put your saving towards retirement, your IRA deposits. I don't know why I can't talk, maybe because I'm speaking too fast, but that's your second bucket. I like this bucket to be anywhere from 20 to 40% if you can. Anywhere from 20 to 40%. If you can increase this number up to 50 to 60 to 70, you get a good paying job and you can do all of that stuff, or maybe you own your own business or whatever. Increase that number as much as you can. And then finally, we have your get jiggy with it money. your party with it money, your money to do whatever you want to do. That's where you put items like your streaming services and networks. So Netflix, Spotify, Apple Music, Hulu, Disney, all of them things will be in this bucket. Then you can have a line item for like, I want to get new clothes, I want to get new shoes, I want to get a new laptop, I want to get this, I want to get that. All those things go in here. I want to go eat out whenever I want to do that. I want to do this. All those line items, all those things that are not absolutely necessary, but you want them in your life, because if we're not living life, then what's the point? We need to enjoy life as well. This is where that goes. And then when you're first starting out, this is going to be anywhere from 10 to 30%. Just be careful not to feed in this bucket so much so that it's taken away from your freedom bucket, because freedom is just as important. Just find a nice little balance between those two buckets. All right? Cool. And that's it. That's literally how you make a budget. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some getting used to. But the thing to remember about a budget is it is a tool. So you can make a budget and forget all about it. I'm talking from experience here because I did exactly that. I made a budget and then I didn't even use it for years. It's important that even though you make a budget, you actually use the budget in your life. It makes things a whole lot easier as you move forward. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all. I hope y'all learned one, maybe two things out of this entire thing. And if you did, give me that like. And if you loved it, hit that subscribe button. But I'm going to catch y'all later. Remember, generosity is always greater than greed. God bless each and every single one of y'all. And I'm out. Peace. Whoosh.